Welcome to BaseballGuys.com. I'm your host on Around the Horn, Ray Flowers. Here we are on yet another Tuesday as the baseball season goes into the last month of August, the dog days of summer as they call it. We're going to run through a bunch of players, some struggling with injuries, some struggling with innings pitch count, and some just doing well, actually. Let's first start off with Stephen Drew. Stephen Drew has been traded. Now, he's been a very major disappointment the last couple of seasons for the Diamondbacks. Played less than 90 games last year before suffering that catastrophic lower leg injury. He's only been back for 40 games this year, hitting under 200. Pretty much worn his welcome out, it sounded like, with the Diamondbacks. So the Diamondbacks decided to trade him to the Oakland Athletics for Sean Jamison. Now, Jamison's a minor leaguer. Not much of a concern, at least at this point of his development, but obviously Stephen Drew is. Basically a salary dump by the Diamondbacks. He's owed $3.3 million the rest of this season. Got a $10 million option for next year, about $1.3 million, $1.4 million buyout there. The Athletics are taking on all three this year. You have to think if they did this deal, the expectation would be that they would keep Drew for next season as well if he shows himself to be a good teammate, have a good work ethic, and to provide something on the field. Now, it bears mentioning with Stephen Drew, again, 40 games this year, less than 90 last year. The previous 4 years when he was healthy, so the last 4 healthy seasons in the big league before the catastrophic lower leg injury. 268 average, 15 home runs, in the 60s in RBIs, in the 70s in runs, and about 7 steals a season. A very good overall season for a shortstop, even in this day and age with all the pitching and everything. Stephen Drew will never be a superstar. But when the A's add a guy who could hit 270 with 15 home runs, 70 RBIs, 70 runs, and 10 steals, that is someone you should pay very close attention to down the stretch, because if he performs well, he should be someone to look at in mixed leagues as a middle infield option next season and be a very, very potentially awesome option in a single league. Sean Rodriguez should have been a strong option in the AL-only league this year, and yeah. 6 home runs, 5 steals, and almost 300 at bats. Hasn't got it done. The batting average is barely 200. The on-base percentage is under 300. He's shown very little power. Yeah, just not good for Sean Rodriguez. So the Rays decided to demote him to the minor leagues. He still has options left, so he'll be back with the club in the month of September. But at this point, after a couple of failed seasons of really not taking the bull by the horns and taking advantage of the opportunity given to him, he's probably going to be typecast as a backup option. His days of potentially breaking out and be a 20 home run, 15 steal guy looks like it's not going to happen, at least if he stays with Tampa Bay, because he just continues to not step forward when he's given the opportunity. Why was he sent to the minors this time besides the poor work? Well, Luke Scott's ready to come off the disabled list, so he's been activated. Now, there's an open question about how much Luke Scott will be playing, because Evan Longoria, since he returned from the disabled list in order to protect his hamstring, has been playing DH. So do the Rays intend to put Longoria back at third? Are they going to mix and match Longoria and Scott? You have to think that Longoria is not coming out of the lineup, whether he's at third or at the DH spot. So in the short term, probably makes sense to be a little bit leery of going with Scott, because he's probably not going to be in that lineup every day. The guy who's not going to be in the lineup every day, at least for the short term, for the White Sox is Alejandro De Aza. The guy is having a great season. He's batting .281, on pace for about 60 RBIs, 100 runs scored, 25-plus steals. He's got an issue with his oblique. He's going to the disabled list. Terrible news at this point of the season for those people counting on that run-speed combination from De Aza, who, again, has had a very, very impressive season for relatively no cost on draft day. The team looks like they'll go with Dwayne Wise, a lifelong quad A kind of guy. He's had some success at the major league level, but really never been able to sustain anything. Last 8 games played for the White Sox, so he has gone deep 3 times. So AL-only leaguers, clearly, this is someone to take note of. Mixed leaguers, even if you're in a 15-team league, it's pretty tough for me to suggest that Dwayne Wise is someone that should be in your lineup. He just hasn't shown an ability to remain consistent for any long period of time at the big league level. Oh, the Brewers. The Brewers got a lot of problems going in their rotation. They've got Mark Rogers, who's coming up against the innings pitched at. Marco Estrada, same situation. And Michael Fears, same situation. So 3 guys in that rotation right now that are getting close to innings pitch limits. The Brewers want to keep their pitchers on a controlled program. Long term makes a lot of sense to do that. You don't want guys jumping up 70, 80 innings from season to season, especially when they're young. So all 3 of those guys could potentially be shut down relatively soon. I mean, maybe not much into September. What did the Brewers do to fill those spots? Well, Sean Markham is going to be back from his stint on the disabled list this weekend, looking very good. The last time he took the hill, very positive news with him. Whenever he's out there, he's obviously not an elite pitcher, but a very impressive big league arm. So he'll take one of those spots. Looks like Randy Wolf will probably be allowed to maintain his spot in the rotation. I mean, despite an ERA over 5.5, despite a whip over 1.5, 80 innings pitched, and that's one thing Randy Wolf can do. So it looks like he'll hold on to his job for at least a little while longer as the Brewers try to decide what to do with that starting rotation. Juan Pierre. Came into the season, not a lot of expectations for Juan Pierre. He was looked at as a part-time player, guy that, fourth outfielder type, maybe he plays, 4 times a week for the Phillies. He's been all of that and more. Only 311 at-bats, so his playing time has basically been what was expected with that club in Philadelphia, but he's been a phenomenal performer. Batting .312, 31 stolen bases. Now, there's only 6 guys in baseball that have stolen 30 bases this year, and only 2, Pierre and Mike Trout, have stolen 30 bases and hit 300. Juan Pierre proving he's not washed up, proving he's still got something to give, and he has no power, and he's not driving in any runs. We know that with Juan Pierre, but that guy can still produce a batting average, still give you some steals, and still obviously holds value even in mixed league. Troy Tulowitzki, he continues to work his way back. The Rockies are hopeful he'll be back at some point in September from his groin injury and surgery. They're not going to rush him back. He has any setups that might pull him out of that, but they do think that it would be very good for his psyche to get him back out there in September and have some success. I would tend to agree. Another player injured with the Rockies is Eric Young Jr. Now, there's a lot of worry that his oblique injury would send him to the disabled list. The team has said that's not going to occur. They are actually hopeful he can return in a few days. And that's great news for the Rockies and people that have taken the chance on Young recently. Because Young has been killing it. He's absolutely been killing it. Hitting over 370 with a 976 OPS since the All-Star break. He's been even better in the month of August. In the month of August, batting .406 with an OPS of 1,059. Yeah, Eric Young Jr. can steal a bag. He's white hot to dish. This injury came at a terrible time as it looked like he was finally going to get a chance to establish himself as a regular at the major league level. Keep those fingers crossed that he'll be back at some point this week and avoid that sent to the disabled list. And don't be afraid to get him active when he returns because he, again, absolutely killing it at the plate. And then finally, one player who was doing very well. This guy was hitting over 300 in the month of August. He had scored 14 runs. He had knocked in 15 runs and stolen 3 bases. Pretty good. 300 average, 15 RBIs, 14 runs scored in the month of August. Who am I talking about? Why am I disappointed? It's Carl Crawford. Carl Crawford will be shut down by the Boston Red Sox. Will undergo Tommy John surgery on that injured elbow. Apparently he went to the team and said, look, let's get this procedure done. I want to be ready to go for week 1 next year. The Red Sox looked at the situation and realized they're not going to the playoffs, so they decided to shut down Crawford. He'll have the surgery on Thursday. The expectation is that he will be ready to go by opening day of 2013. Second straight lost season for Carl Crawford with the Red Sox. Still owed over $100 million of the 5 remaining years of his contract. I still believe in Carl Crawford. I would take a chance on him in draft day next season, absolutely without question. But that guy that was the superstar that we saw for years, it's been so long since we've seen that guy, you can't expect him to hit 300 with 50 steals and 400 runs and all that next year. Draft him in the middle rounds. He could be a great value, but after 2 injury-plagued seasons, that risk level is pretty darn high. I'm Ray Flowers, BaseballGuys.com. Thanks for joining me on Around the Horn. Talk to y'all again soon.